Her perfume lingered on my pillow, but her heart was somewhere else. I found the truth in a single text at 2 a.m. It wasn't just betrayal, it was a declaration of war. If this story stirred something in your heart, give it a like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe to Revenge Forge, where every story reminds us that pain can lead to power. I'm Zachary Coates, 43, a man who clawed his way to the top. I run a logistics firm in Austin, Texas, pulling in $8 million a year with my take-home around $400,000. Not a billionaire, but I've got a lakeside house, a vintage Mustang, and a life most would envy. My pride, though, was Heidi, my wife of 12 years, 35, with a laugh that could melt steel and eyes that used to see only me. We met at a dive bar, her in a leather jacket, sipping whiskey like she owned the place. I was hooked. We built a life together, no kids, just us chasing sunsets and dreams. I thought we were untouchable. I was wrong. It started with a shift I couldn't pin down. 8 months ago, Heidi got distant. She'd slip out of bed at night, her phone glowing in the dark. Client emails, she'd mutter, her voice too smooth, too rehearsed. She's a graphic designer freelancing for tech startups, so late nights weren't new. But her excuses felt hollow. She'd come home at 11 p.m., her hair loose, her lipstick a shade too bright. I'd ask about her day. She'd shrug, say same old, and bury her nose in her phone. I told myself it was work stress. I bought her roses, planned a weekend at a vineyard. She smiled, kissed me, said she loved me. But her touch was cold, like she was acting a part. The first crack came at a charity auction downtown. I was schmoozing clients, Heidi by my side, radiant in a black dress that hugged her curves. Her phone buzzed on the table while she was in the bathroom. I wasn't prying, but the screen lit up a text from Nate. "Miss you tonight, babe." "Tomorrow." My chest tightened. Nate? I didn't know any Nate. I could have grabbed her phone, demanded answers, but that's not my style. I'm a man who waits, watches, plans. I memorized the name and let it simmer. The next week, I became a ghost in my own life. I noticed things I'd ignored: Heidi's new perfume, spicy and bold, not her usual lavender. The way she'd linger in the garage, whispering into her phone. Her gym bag always packed, even on days she didn't work out. I started checking her phone when she showered. Her passcode was still our wedding date, a careless mistake. No texts from Nate, but her call log showed late-night calls erased by morning. Each clue was a splinter in my gut, but I needed proof, not suspicions. I hired a private investigator, Lucas Reed, a former Marine with a no-nonsense vibe. "Give me her routine," he said, his voice like gravel. I handed over Heidi's schedule, her phone number, a photo from our last trip to Napa. "Don't tip her off," I told him. "I need the truth." Lucas nodded. "You'll get it." 3 days later, Lucas sent me a file that gutted me. Nathan Bricker, 38, a tech consultant who worked with Heidi's biggest client. Tall, slick, with a grin that screamed trouble. Photos showed them at a rooftop bar, her hand on his chest, his lips too close to her ear. Another shot them in a parking lot, her leaning into his BMW laughing. The worst was a receipt Lucas dug up: $2,500 for a hotel stay in Dallas, booked under Heidi's business account. My money funding their secret. I didn't confront her. I'm not the guy who yells and breaks things. I'm the guy who builds a case brick by brick. Lucas kept digging. Nathan wasn't just a fling, he was embedded in our world. Heidi's best friend Tara had introduced them at a networking event last year. Tara, who I'd helped with a $10,000 loan when her bakery was sinking. Tara, who'd hugged me at our housewarming, calling me family. The betrayal wasn't just Heidi's, it was a conspiracy. I started playing chess. At dinner, I'd drop subtle jabs. "Tara's been quiet lately. She's still working with that tech guy." Nathan, Heidi's fork, would pause, her eyes flicking up. "Oh yeah, she's fine," she'd say too quick. I'd nod, sip my bourbon, let her think she was safe. Meanwhile, Lucas sent more texts between Heidi and Nathan, intercepted from a coffee shop's Wi-Fi. "Can't wait to see you," he wrote. "Wear that red top." Her reply, "Only if you make it quick." A winking emoji. A photo of her in a dress I'd never seen. My blood boiled, but I kept my cool. One night I pushed harder. Heidi was in the kitchen chopping vegetables, her phone buzzing. I leaned in casual. "Work again?" She nodded, not looking up. "Yeah, client drama." I picked up her phone, handed it to her. "Better check it. Sounds urgent." Her hand shook as she took it, her smile forced. I saw the name flash: Nate. She silenced it, but the damage was done. I knew. Lucas's next report was a bombshell. Heidi had leased a loft downtown for Nathan $4,000 a month, paid from a joint account I rarely checked. My money again. Worse, Tara was in on it. Her bakery's books showed consulting fees to Nathan, $15,000 over 6 months. Heidi was funneling cash through Tara to keep Nathan comfortable. I felt like a fool, but not for long. I called my lawyer Rachel Holt, a razor-sharp attorney who'd handled my firm's contracts. "I want a divorce plan," I said. "She gets nothing." Rachel didn't blink. "Send me everything. We'll make it airtight." I kept up the act, doting husband clueless Zachary. Heidi leaned into it all soft touches and I love US. But her eyes betrayed her, always darting to her phone. One night she suggested a spontaneous trip to Galveston. "Just us," she said, her voice honey-sweet. I saw through it, she was buying time covering tracks. I agreed, booked the hotel knowing she'd slip up. Lucas tailed her the next day. No work meetings, just a long lunch with Nathan at a steakhouse, her hand on his under the table. Lucas got audio. "Zach's asking about Tara," she whispered. "We need to be careful." Nathan laughed. "He's too wrapped up in his trucks to notice." My fists clenched. Trucks. My firm moved half the goods in Texas. I wasn't just some guy with a pickup. The first twist hit like a freight train. I was at the office signing off on a shipment when my sister Lauren called. She's a real estate agent, sharp as a tack, always sniffing out trouble. "Zach, something's off with Heidi," she said. "I saw her at a closing last month, some loft downtown. She said it was for a client, but she was with that tech guy, Nathan. They weren't acting professional." My stomach dropped. Lauren didn't know about the affair, but she'd seen enough to suspect. "Why didn't you tell me?" I asked. She sighed. "I didn't want to ruin your marriage over a hunch." I thanked her, hung up, and called Lucas. "Check that loft closing. I want names." Lucas dug up the deed. The loft wasn't just leased. It was purchased $350,000 under a shell company tied to Heidi's business. My money funneled through her client work. Nathan's name was on the paperwork as a co-signer. They weren't just sneaking around, they were building a future brick by brick on my dime. I didn't snap. I didn't storm home. I sat in my office, the Austin skyline glowing outside, and planned. Heidi thought she could play me. Nathan thought I was a chump. Tara thought she'd skate free. They were about to learn what happens when you cross a man who knows how to win. The truth was my weapon, and I was ready to wield it. The Austin heat was relentless, but it was nothing compared to the fire in my chest. Heidi's lies were a blade twisting deeper with every new discovery. I played the part of the devoted husband, grilling steaks on our patio, laughing at her stories, while Lucas fed me reports that turned my world to ash. Heidi was slipping her smiles too tight, her glances too quick. She thought she was untouchable. I was about to prove her wrong. Lucas's next update was a gut punch. Heidi wasn't just funding Nathan's loft. She'd co-signed a $50,000 loan for his consulting business, a front for a crypto trading scheme. The paperwork buried in her email showed transfers from our joint account masked as design retainers. My money siphoned off to fuel Nathan's hustle. Worse, Tara's bakery was the middleman. Her invoices to Heidi's clients were padded, funneling cash to Nathan. Lucas found a paper trail, $20,000 in marketing fees to Tara, half kicked back to Nathan. My wife and her best friend were running a con, and I was the mark. I tested Heidi's nerve. Over breakfast, I dropped a line. Heard about some crypto scam hitting the news. Shady consultants ripping off investors. Her coffee mug froze mid-sip, her eyes darting to me. "Really? That's awful," she said, voice thin as paper. "Yeah," I said, leaning back. "Guys like that always get caught." She changed the subject, babbling about a new client. I let it slide, but her panic was a spark in my plan. Lucas tailed her that afternoon. No client meetings, just a heated lunch with Nathan at a rooftop lounge, their heads bent close over martinis. Lucas's photos caught Heidi's hand on his wrist, her wedding ring glinting like a lie. He hacked their texts through the lounge's Wi-Fi. "Zach's sniffing around," she wrote. "We need to move faster." Nathan's reply: "He's all talk. Keep him distracted." Distracted? I'd built a logistics empire from a single truck. I didn't get distracted, I got even. I called Rachel, my lawyer. "Can we trace the loan and transfers?" Her voice was steel. "Already on it. We've got bank records showing $75,000 moved through Tara's accounts." It's fraud, Zach. We can freeze everything, but it'll spook her. I told her to wait. I wanted Heidi to feel the noose tightening to think she was still in control. The next twist came from an unexpected angle. My old college buddy Cole Bennett called me for a beer. Cole's a contractor, blunt as a hammer, always straight with me. We met at a dive bar, the jukebox blaring Willie Nelson. Halfway through our second round, he leaned in. Zach, I saw Heidi last month at a site I was working on. That loft downtown. She was there with some slick guy Nathan something. They weren't talking business. My jaw tightened. Why didn't you say anything? Cole shrugged guilty. Thought it was a one-off. Didn't want to stir up trouble. I nodded, swallowed my rage. Another friend who'd stayed silent. I pushed Lucas harder. Dig into Nathan's business. I want everything. He delivered. Nathan's Consulting was a house of cards, fake crypto trades, doctored returns clients, starting to complain on Reddit forums. One post in a Reddit stories thread called him out, shady Austin consultant scamming locals. Anyone know this guy? The comments were brutal, some mentioning a designer pulling strings. Heidi's name wasn't out yet, but the net was closing. I set a trap. I told Heidi I was swamped with a new contract, working late all week. Big shipment to Dallas, I said, kissing her goodbye. She nodded, her eyes too eager. Take your time, she said, her voice dripping honey. I didn't go to the office. I holed up in a hotel, letting Lucas track her. She went straight to Nathan's loft, staying past midnight. Lucas's audio was gold, Zach's clueless. Nathan laughed. We're golden! Heidi's voice was sharp. Don't get cocky, he's not stupid. I smirked, listening. Not stupid, Heidi. Dangerous. The next morning I left a breadcrumb. I forgot my tablet on the kitchen counter, logged into our joint account. I'd moved $100,000 to a new account Heidi couldn't touch, leaving just enough in the joint to keep her comfortable. Lucas's camera caught her reaction. She stared at the screen, her face paling, then called Tara. He's moving money, she hissed. What if he knows? Tara's voice was calm. Play nice, he'll back off. I almost laughed. Back off, I was just getting started. The second twist hit like a thunderbolt. Lucas sent me a file from Nathan's cloud hacked through a weak password. It wasn't just texts and photos, there was a contract. Heidi and Nathan were planning to launch a design tech startup using my money as seed capital. The kicker, Tara was listed as a partner, her bakery a front to launder the funds. They weren't just cheating, they were building an empire on my back. The contract had a clause: if the startup failed, Heidi would cover the losses. With my money. I called Rachel. This is embezzlement, she said, her voice gleeful. We've got her dead to rights. File now and she's done. I hesitated. Not because I loved her, love was ashes now, but because I needed to know why. Why throw away 12 years? Why betray me with Nathan, with Tara? I needed her to face me, to admit it. I upped the ante. I invited Tara over for dinner, playing the friendly husband. She showed up all smiles, bringing a bottle of Merlot. We ate, laughed, talked about her bakery. Then I dropped the bomb. Heard you're working with Nathan Bricker on some tech thing. Sounds risky. Tara's fork clattered, her eyes wide. Oh, just consulting, she stammered. Heidi shot her a look sharp as a blade. I smiled, poured more wine. Hope it's legit. Crypto's a minefield. Tara mumbled something and left early. Heidi didn't speak for the rest of the night. Lucas's next move was brilliant. He posed as a client, emailing Nathan about investing in his crypto scheme. Nathan bit meeting Lucas at a bar. Lucas recorded it. Nathan bragged about his silent partner who handles the cash flow. No names, but the implication was clear. Heidi was the brains, Nathan the face. Lucas pushed, asking about the partner. Nathan smirked. She's married to a guy who's too busy to notice. My blood ran cold. Too busy I'd notice now. The third twist nearly broke me. I got an anonymous text: check Heidi's laptop. Folder projects. No sender. I waited until she was asleep, her laptop charging in the study. Her password was still our first date, careless. I found the folder. Inside were emails not just to Nathan but to a divorce lawyer. Heidi was planning to leave me, but not before draining our accounts. One email laid it bare. Once the startup launches, I'm out. Zach's too soft to fight. Soft, I'd show her soft. I forwarded the emails to Rachel, my hands shaking. This is it, she said. We can file for divorce and fraud. She'll lose everything: reputation, money, the works. I nodded, but something gnawed at me. Heidi wasn't just cheating, she was rewriting our life, erasing me. I needed her to see the consequences, not just hear about them. I set another trap. I told Heidi I was flying to Houston for a client pitch. Back in 3 days, I said, packing a bag. She kissed me, her lips cold. Be safe, she said, her eyes already elsewhere. I didn't go to Houston. I checked into a motel, letting Lucas watch her. She met Nathan at the loft, their voices heated on his audio. Zach's gone, she said. We need to move the money now. Nathan laughed. Relax, babe, he's no threat. No threat, I was the damn storm. Lucas dug deeper into Tara's role. Her bakery was bleeding cash, propped up by Heidi's fees. He found texts, Tara begging Heidi to keep the funds coming to save her business. Heidi replied, Don't worry, Zach's got plenty. My wife was playing Robin Hood with my money, saving her friend while screwing me over. I called Cole, my contractor buddy. You still know that reporter from the Austin Chronicle? He did a guy named Ethan hungry for a scoop. I sent Ethan an anonymous tip, local designer and consultant running a crypto scam, funneling money through a bakery. No names, just enough to spark interest. By evening, Ethan's blog post went live, Austin crypto scheme tied to local businesses. The Reddit stories crowd pounced, speculating about the designer and consultant. Heidi's phone lit up with notifications. She didn't sleep that night. I kept my distance, playing the clueless husband. Heidi came home late, her eyes red, her smile forced. Rough day, I asked, pouring her a drink. She nodded, her hands trembling. Just work drama. I leaned back, my voice calm. Sounds like a mess. She didn't answer, just stared at her phone, Nathan's name flashing. She silenced it, but I saw the fear. She knew something was coming. I wasn't done. The truth was my weapon, and I was sharpening it. Heidi, Nathan, Tara. They thought they'd outsmarted me. They were about to learn what happens when you underestimate a man who's built his life from nothing. The Austin skyline glowed outside my motel window, a city unaware of the war I was waging. Heidi's lies were unraveling, her carefully spun web tearing under the weight of her own mistakes. She came home each night, her eyes hollow, her smiles brittle, as if she sensed the storm closing in. I played my role, Zachary, the trusting husband, while Lucas's reports painted a picture of her panic. Nathan was getting sloppy. Tara was cracking, and the Reddit stories' buzz about their crypto scam was growing louder. I wasn't just fighting for justice anymore. I was fighting for me. Lucas's latest find was a dagger. Heidi had opened a secret bank account, funneling another $30,000 to Nathan's business through Tara's bakery. The account was in her maiden name, a detail that stung. She'd erased our marriage in more ways than one. Lucas traced the funds to a crypto wallet. Nathan controlled its transactions, linked to complaints flooding online forums. The Reddit crowd was ruthless, one post screaming, Austin designer and tech bro scamming locals. Who's the mastermind? They didn't have Heidi's name yet, but the truth was clawing its way out. I tightened the screws. At dinner, I leaned into the game. Tara's bakery must be booming, I said, slicing into my steak. Heard she's tied up with some tech startup. Heidi's knife paused, her eyes flicking to mine. Yeah, she's doing okay, she said too quick. I smiled, sipped my whiskey. Good for her. Hope it's not one of those crypto scams in the news. Her face paled, but she laughed it off, changing the subject to a new design project. I let it slide, savoring her unease. The first twist came from an unexpected corner. My cousin Matt Grayson, a CPA who'd helped with my firm's taxes, called me out of the blue. Zach, I ran into Heidi at a networking event last week, he said, his voice tight. She was with that Nathan guy pitching their startup to investors. She didn't see me, but they weren't acting like colleagues. My grip tightened on the phone. What else? Matt hesitated. She mentioned you. Said you were checked out, focused on work. I didn't buy it. Matt's words burned. Checked out, I'd given her everything, time, trust, a life most would kill for. Why was she rewriting our story? I didn't confront her. Instead, I pushed Lucas to dig into the startup pitch. He found a pitch deck on Nathan's cloud outlining their design tech venture. Heidi's designs were the centerpiece, sleek, professional, built on years of my support. The deck listed her as co-founder, Nathan as CEO, and Tara as strategic advisor. They were planning to launch in 6 months, banking on my money to fund it. The audacity floored me. They weren't just cheating, they were stealing my life to build theirs. I set a new trap. I told Heidi I was headed to San Antonio for a 2-day conference. Big client, I said, packing a duffel bag. She nodded, her eyes distant. Have fun, she said, her kiss cold as ice. I didn't go to San Antonio. I checked into a downtown Airbnb, letting Lucas tail her. She went straight to Nathan's loft, their voices sharp on his audio. Zach's gone, she said. We need to finalize the pitch. Nathan's tone was smug. He's a workhorse, not a threat. We've got this. I clenched my fists. Workhorse, I'd show them. Lucas's next report was a bombshell. Nathan wasn't just scamming investors, he was two-timing Heidi. Lucas hacked into Nathan's secondary phone, a burner he kept hidden. Text to a woman named Claire, a bartender in Houston, revealed a side fling. Miss you, babe, he wrote. Austin's getting messy, but I'm yours. Claire's replies were flirty, oblivious to Heidi. Nathan was playing them both, using Heidi's money to fund his double life. I almost laughed. The predator had his own predator. I saw my opening. I sent Claire an anonymous email from a burner account. Your boyfriend's cheating with a married designer in Austin. I attached a single photo, Heidi and Nathan at the rooftop lounge, her hand on his. No signature, no trace. Within hours, Claire's social media erupted, posts calling out a lying tech bro with Nathan's initials. She didn't name Heidi, but the damage was done. Nathan called Heidi in a panic, Lucas's audio catching every word. Claire's freaking out, he said. Someone tipped her off. Heidi's voice cracked. Who's Zach? Nathan scoffed. No way. He's too busy hauling freight. I smirked. Keep underestimating me, Nathan. The second twist hit like lightning. I was at my office reviewing shipment logs when Tara showed up unannounced. Her eyes were red, her hands twisting a scarf. Zach, we need to talk, she said, voice shaky. I leaned back, keeping my face neutral. What's up? She sat, avoiding my eyes. I messed up. Heidi asked me to help with some payments for Nathan. I didn't know it was your money, I swear. I stared at her, letting the silence stretch. You didn't know? My voice was low, sharp. She flinched. I was desperate. The bakery's failing. Heidi said it was a loan that you'd never notice. I leaned forward. You used me, Tara. My money. My trust. She sobbed, begging forgiveness. I stood. Get out. She left her scarf forgotten on the chair. Tara's confession was the leverage I needed. I called Rachel. Tara's cracking, I said. Can we use her? Rachel's voice was all business. If she testifies, it's game over for Heidi. Fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy, she's done. I nodded, but a question lingered. Heidi wasn't just a cheater, she was desperate, reckless. Why? I needed her to face me, to say it to my face. I set the final trap. I told Heidi I was staying late at the office, but I came to. I'll be home by 9, I said. She nodded, distracted, her phone buzzing with Nathan's name. I didn't go to the office. I met Lucas at a diner where he handed me a USB drive. Everything you need, he said. It was a goldmine: bank records, emails, texts, even a video of Heidi and Nathan at the loft planning their startup. I drove home, my mind racing. Heidi was on the couch scrolling her laptop when I walked in. I set the USB drive on the coffee table right in front of her. What's this? She asked, her voice uneasy. The truth, I said, my voice cold. Nathan, the loft, the money, your startup. Her face went white. Zach, I cut her off. Don't, I've got proof. $105,000, Heidi. My money. She stood trembling. I was scared, she whispered. You were always working, building your empire. I felt invisible. Invisible, I'd given her everything. So you stole from me, I asked. Built a life with him, she cried, reaching for me. I stepped back. Sign this. I slid divorce papers across the table, Rachel's work airtight, leaving her with nothing but the loft's debt. Heidi stared at the papers, tears falling. I didn't mean to hurt you, she said. Nathan was a mistake. I laughed, bitter. A $105,000 mistake. You and Tara planned this. My money, my life. She sobbed. I'm sorry, Zach. Please, let's fix this. I shook my head. You fixed it when you chose him. I walked out, leaving her with the papers. The divorce was swift. Rachel buried Heidi in court, fraud, embezzlement, no contest. She got the loft, now a financial sinkhole. Nathan's startup collapsed when Ethan's article went viral exposing the scam. Reddit stories lit up with speculation calling the designer a mastermind gone wrong. Claire left Nathan taking half his assets. Tara's bakery went under, her reputation trashed. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. I moved to a ranch outside Austin, trading city lights for open skies. My firm thrived. My Mustang roared, and I found peace in the quiet. Lauren visited, bringing her kids, their laughter filling the void Heidi left. One night, Heidi sent a text, "I'm trying to be better. Can we talk?" I didn't reply. Not out of hate, but because I was free. Standing on my porch, stars above, I thought about her words. Invisible. Maybe I'd been too focused, too driven. But betrayal wasn't the answer. I rebuilt my life stronger, sharper. The Reddit stories crowd had their say. He dodged a bullet. She got what she deserved. Maybe they were right. But I wonder, could I have seen her pain sooner? Should I have fought harder for us? Or was walking away the only way to win? You're here because this story meant something. Don't scroll away without leaving a like, a thought, and your subscription. Revenge Forge is where real stories find their voice, and yours.